guys, if you're shopping for a brand new car or pickup truck, this is the video you must watch.
Yeah, we are going to give you a list of the 10-ish slowest selling vehicles and 10 of the best selling vehicles. So that way you can do what?
Well, you can find the best deals or the worst deals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So this data comes to us from our friends at caredge.com. So you can check them out. We'll put the link in the description of this video. But how about this? They have this, the top nine slowest selling vehicles, which means there is most inventory on these, right, sitting at dealer lots right now. So if you walked into a dealership, brand new, it's likely there's a lot of these, and also you could haggle, right? Negotiate and get a good deal.
Yeah, and they've sorted this list based on the amount of time that it's going to take to sell each of these amount of cars that they currently have. So, for example, the one that's number 9, the Jeep Gladiator, they're saying with its current inventory and its current sell-through rate, they have 283 days worth of the Jeep Gladiator sitting on Jeep dealers' lots.
And that means also, according to the data, 19,584 of them are waiting for a new owner.
Yeah. So I guess now if you're in the market for like a Wrangler, you know, this might be a more budget-friendly option. I know generally the Gladiators are more expensive than the Wrangler, but you could probably get a better deal on it.
Yeah, because they're sitting there. So why is Gladiator in this position right now? Well, it came out in 2020, right?
Sure.
It hasn't been really refreshed. It doesn't have a super high efficiency option, right? Plus, the midsize pickup truck segment has gained a lot more excitement into it.
Absolutely.
Fresh vehicles like the GM trucks, the Colorado and the Canyon. There's a new Ford Ranger on the horizon. The next Tacoma is on the horizon. So the Jeep Gladiator is also one of the highest priced ones, right?
Yeah, but it is the only way that you can have a truck and go topless at the same time, right? Or at least a mid-sized truck.
Yes, exactly. And also, it's the only one, not the only one, but one of the very few with a manual transmission option.
Which is nice.
And solid axles front and rear, and potentially really, great off-road capability. So if you want all those things, right now might be the best time to buy.
Yeah, you definitely have more negotiating power now than you did at least a year ago.
But it gets better from here.
It does, yeah, because that's number 9 on the list. So going up to number 8 on the list is the Ram 1500 Classic, which you have had a lot of experience with, haven't you?
So TFL Studios have purchased the Ram 1500 Classic just late last year. We've owned it for, 6 or 7 months now.
Yeah.
And it's the most affordable full-size 4x4 we found in the country, period. And there's a reason for that. They have a market day supply of 328 days, almost a year. And about 4,300 of them are sitting in dealer lots waiting for new owners.
Yeah.
A lot of these are fleet trucks.
Sure.
Right? So that number may be skewed a little bit because a lot of fleets may not have had the budget to just, take possession of them.
Sure.
But nonetheless, it's a pretty solid vehicle, which is affordable, which is a previous generation of the Ram.
Yeah, but I think it's still a really good value. I mean, especially when you think about a workhorse type of vehicle, I tend to, lean a little heavier towards like a classic style vehicle. Like think about when the Panther platform was getting long in the tooth. They were hard to sell as well, but they are now a much beloved vehicle because of how simple they are. And I think that the Ram Classic represents that as well. It is a very simple, basic vehicle that I think can be pretty reliable and a good vehicle to own.
Yeah, and this list is dominated by Stellantis brand vehicles, unfortunately. Yeah. The next one, number 7 on our list, is the Jeep Compass with 352 days of market day supply. And is this right? 35,590 of them are waiting for their new owner.
Are they still making the Compass?
Yes.
Wow, that is quite a lot of small little Compasses sitting out there, and this one too, like the Ram Classic, is also getting a little bit long in the tooth,
or a lot long in the tooth.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the theme that we are seeing here is the vehicles that, when somebody's out there shopping for a new vehicle, they want the latest and greatest, and these. Well, they just aren't because they haven't been redesigned in a while.
But it may not be a bad thing necessarily because it's tried and true.
Yeah.
And if it ain't broke, why fix it? So the Compass, I'm not a fan of its style.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a little bit jelly beany, you know. It's a little bit rounded.
Yeah.
In some ways for me, for my eye, when I just picked up a Chevy Colorado that I own, and we were at the dealer. You probably saw the video. They had 100 compasses on their lot, but most of them were fleet. Okay. So I think a lot of fleets also use these little SUVs for, runabouts, right?
Sure.
So what's next?
So next is the Chrysler Pacifica, but not just any Pacifica. They are specifically putting on the Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid, which has a current 355-day inventory. And I think, this is my theory on it, it is one of the more expensive minivans that you can get because it has a starting MSRP of over $50,000. And I think that people, when they're looking for a minivan nowadays, just maybe aren't looking to spend that much, and that may be why.
Well, there are some other choices. There's the Honda Odyssey. There is a Toyota Sienna, right? Those are both great, options.
Yep.
But I actually went on a debut event of the new Pacifica Hybrid back in the day, several years ago.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even though the starting price is high, because it does have a battery and it's a plug-in hybrid, right?
Sure.
It was super quiet. It was powerful. When the engine kicked in, over the electric motor, it was seamless. I think it's very, very well done. So if you're looking for a plug-in hybrid, yes, it's more expensive, but I think it's just a good vehicle.
Yeah, I get that. I think they are a decent vehicle. I think they are pretty good looking, at least as far as a minivan goes. But moving on to the next, we're going to mention another Stellantis vehicle, the Jeep Cherokee, which has a 391-day supply. Didn't they stop making these a little bit ago?
Yes. So the Belvedere plant in the U.S. Was closed, and they said maybe temporarily, but they did not give a date for either refitment of that plant or reopening of that plant. Unfortunately, a lot of people were involved, the employees who work there.
Yeah.
So, but they're also kind of changing over to electrification, right? In Jeep, and they have the new models coming online soon. So, and I like the Cherokee more than the Compass.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit odd that it's in this position, but they still have about 6,100 of them on dealer lots, apparently, according to this data. And they're not building any new ones.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And again, it kind of goes with the theme, too, that this is also a vehicle that I think came out in, 2014, 2015? So it's also a little bit long in the tooth, that you're not really getting the latest and greatest.
Right.
It's been refreshed a little bit since then, but
exactly.
The base platform came out around then. And yeah, I mean, seeing that they've got over 6,000 of them on dealer lots, but they've got over 35,000 compasses, maybe they should. I don't know, should they keep making compasses too, or
it doesn't look like they should?
I don't know.
Yeah,
that it may be a little sign of maybe what's to come with the Compass as well. We're just making a prediction here. We don't know for sure, but anyways, moving on to the next list of Stellantis vehicles is the Ram 2500. So this is their heavy-duty truck. Has over a 403-day supply, and get this, Andre, they have almost just shy of 20,000 of them sitting on dealer lots right now.
Well, you know what, TFL, we are owners of a Ram 2500 heavy-duty truck. We bought it late last year, or actually a while ago last year, and it's been a really solid truck. There are some shortcomings, though.
Sure.
And here's my theory on this, why it's not selling super well. First of all, competition. The Forte has been refreshed, completely redesigned. 2023 Super Duty is now on sale. Now, GM trucks have also been redesigned, and they keep producing more and more of them because there's a lot of demand for the GM heavy-duty trucks. New cabs, better payloads, even better engines now in 2024 models. But Ram still has the older cab. It's not as roomy as the competitors. It has not as much payload in the 2500 compared to comparable trucks. They did introduce something cool, the Rebel.
Yeah.
The heavy-duty Rebel, but it's a theme. It's a little bit long in the tooth. Like, it came out in 2019 model year. They did refresh it a little bit, and they made a new interior inside of it. But still, the payload is a big deal. I think also the cab is a big deal. and the bed length. In the shorter bed version, it's way shorter than the competition.
Well, either way, I mean, this basically says if you are someone out there that's shopping for a heavy duty truck and you're the type of person that doesn't care about all the latest and greatest and just wants a basic work vehicle that's going to help you tow what you need to tow and get your work done, I think the Ram is a good option because right now you're going to actually have a little bit of negotiation power compared to some of the newer stuff that's out there.
Yeah.
But moving on to the first vehicle on the list that is not a Stellantis vehicle, and this one actually surprises me a little bit. The Lincoln Corsair currently has a 423-day supply. Now, that's only about 2,500 vehicles, so not quite as many, but this is a fairly inexpensive luxury SUV, which is a really hot segment right now. So it kind of surprises me that the Lincoln is not doing so well.
Well, you know what? Lincoln is in a weird space right now. I mean, the Navigator, that's what I know a little bit more because it's more trucky.
Sure.
It's fairly successful because it has that image of being premium and big, and it is. It has very powerful power plants and really a lot of luxury. This is a small guy, right? A lot of competition here.
Yeah.
Right. From the German manufacturers, even now, Korean manufacturers, you name it, everywhere there's competition for the Lincoln. So that must be a little bit why they're struggling.
Yeah, maybe.
They did refresh it. So they did, they are coming up with new technologies and new things to add to this. They might have to do more.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty good looking vehicle, and I guess maybe just the market is saying that there's just too many other options that they would rather have. But so moving on to number 2 on the list is the Chevy Silverado, but not just any Silverado. They're specifying the 4500 medium-duty chassis cab currently has a 443-day supply, but that's only about 1,100 vehicles.
Okay, well, this is the bad boy. Look at this.
Yeah.
So here's what they did. Obviously, the 3500 dualies have always been there, right? But they needed to be in that space where slightly larger commercial trucks are, right? Ford has the 550s, 600 now, the 650 and 750 trucks from Ford. Those are the commercial trucks. Ram also has the 4500 and 5500 Rams. Now, this was their solution. In 2018, they announced this collaboration with International Truck and Chevrolet, right?
Okay.
So they're collaborating on this chassis. But, here's my take. I drove this.
Okay.
I have a video about this from several years ago. And it truly feels like a big box truck. You have to climb several steps to get into the cab. It's like a big U-Haul, right, that you're stepping into. It has decent interior and a good, diesel engine, but it's, it's in that space that it's a little bit harder to drive. That's my theory.
Sure.
Recently, they had a recall on these. So 45, 55, and 6500s were recalled. Pretty much all of them for a certain issue. So I don't think that's not helping them right now.
Yeah.
So what should they do? Probably kind of follow maybe what Ram has been doing, right? Ram and Ford have options that have more payload, like these trucks, but they're a little bit more user-friendly. That's my experience with it.
With these 45. And I would assume that this category of vehicle, the vast majority of people that are buying them, it's probably fleet sales.
Businesses,
businesses that are customizing the back end of it with different types of, bed setups or whatever.
But GM is a huge fleet operator as well. I mean, they sell to fleets all the time. So the fact that they're struggling here is not a great sign.
I want to know, before we get to number 1, what is it that you, as a truck guy, think about the fact that of this list of 9 vehicles that have the most days of inventory, it's 4 of them are trucks. Is this a sign that trucks in general are struggling?
No.
Okay.
No. I think it's a sign that Stellantis is struggling.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yes, we do have a GM truck on the list.
Sure.
Yes. That's true. But I think it's a sign. So if I look at sales data, recently F-150 has been improving a lot. So this F-Series have been improving. GM trucks, like I said, they're heavy duty specifically because they report those numbers as well, has been improving. Toyota has been improving with their Tundra sales. So I think in general the market is doing well, except the ones that we just mentioned.
Well, and to bolster your point, of these 9 vehicles, 7 of them are Stellantis.
Yeah.
So that is the much larger indicator of what is going on here, is that generally Stellantis vehicles seem to be struggling.
And also the least updated ones.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're oldest new vehicles
Yeah.
that are sitting on the lot. So they really need to get going and refresh some of these vehicles so that they
But there's
can
another one
help
that's
themselves.
shocking.
Yeah. The Jeep Renegade is the number 1, and it has a current 753 days. That's over 2 years by its current sell rate that it'll take them to sell all the Renegades that are already made and already sent to dealers.
Okay, so Nathan and I went to the launch event. This was 2014-ish? No, I'm sorry. That was January 2015. So still almost 8 years, over 8 years ago.
Yeah.
We were quite impressed by the style. At least I was. I think boxy style with a kind of Jeep grill. It's kind of a little tiny baby Wrangler in my mind.
Yeah.
You know?
I like the way they look.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it not being updated heavily. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised that, because it does have the kind of classic styling, I'm surprised that it's sitting on dealer lots in this way.
I think my viewpoint on it is they had a lot of excitement when they first came out because it was a really cool design. But since then, from what I've heard at least, and from my personal experience, they've gotten kind of a bad reputation as far as reliability goes. And I think maybe that's why some people are shying away from buying them.
Initially, the 9-speed that they had in there had some issues tuning-wise.
Sure.
But I think they resolved a lot of those issues.
Yeah.
But reliability I think it's a good point.
Yeah.
I think it could be said for some of these, like the Ram was also recalled recently, the 2500.
Okay.
So I think some of the quality issues that they had have something to do with that.
Yeah. I mean, you notice there are no Toyotas on that list, right?
No Hondas.
And no Hondas, which
Yeah.
are brands that are associated with being more reliable. So I think that that's a key thing that manufacturers should look at if they, have a reputation at least of a reliable vehicle or an unreliable vehicle that can really hurt or help sales.
So now let's briefly go. So the vehicles we just mentioned, you could probably get great deals on.
Yep.
Now let's look at the vehicles that are hard to get, and they're probably going to be charging over sticker.
Yeah. So
Maybe in some cases, right?
Yeah, and in this we have 10 vehicles that have the least amount of inventory, or at least the least market day supply on the list. And starting off is a Mercedes-Benz GLE has currently only a 19-day supply on dealer lots, so only about 1,400, just shy of 1,500 vehicles sitting on the lots.
Yeah.
And that one's interesting to me because it's not a cheap vehicle.
No, and it kind of plays in almost that space with the Lincoln we
Yeah.
just mentioned, even though it's slightly different size. But here's the thing. I think there's another theme here. You will notice. I think some of these may be constrained by supply, so there's not of them being produced, and some of them are built overseas, right?
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends on where these vehicles are coming from. So the GLE, I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but it's still kind of that. It's got that status, right?
Yeah.
Mercedes badge is there, and it's an interesting new SUV. So the other vehicle is with the same number supply, right?
Yep.
Is the Kia Forte.
Yeah, so the Kia Forte, there's only about 4,800 of them in the whole country, and that may seem like a decent amount, but keep in mind this is a very inexpensive vehicle, and they do sell quite a lot of these because of that. Because if there's just somebody that just needs a car and they're going around to see what they can get approved for, this tends to be that car. And this is kind of the theme that I am seeing on this list of some of the stuff that has the lowest day supply is vehicles that are a lot more affordable. And maybe this is just a trend towards how people think of the market. People are a little bit nervous right now about the economy and interest rates. And so they may be looking for something a little more affordable. And that may be why something like the Kia Forte has such a low supply.
So, for example, 2023 Forte still starts, and you can get one under $26,000, which, I mean, if you're thinking about 5 years ago money, it sounds like a lot, but currently that's a really good deal.
It is.
So a post-COVID era. But I also love the design. I think a lot of these vehicles are inexpensive, but also have a little bit of flair to them, right? So that's quite nice. There's also the BMW 4 Series with 17 days market supply, and only about 610 of them are sitting around.
Sure.
I think it's kind of in the same boat as the GLE. It's a premium brand. Not a lot of them are made, but it's also kind of got that coupe thing going on.
Yeah, it's a
So-
fresh design that people are excited about. I mean, love or take that front end design about it. Some people love it, some people hate it, but either way, it seems they seem to be selling as many of them as they could make. So.
Yes.
Yeah, can't blame them there. But also going back to that cheap is the Kia Rio, and it's on here twice. And I don't know this for certain, but if you go to the Kia website, they have it specified the Kia Rio and then the Kia Rio 5-door as two separate models. So I'm assuming that this is both the Kia Rio and the Kia Rio 5-door. They are listing as two separate models.
With 17 days.
Yeah,
on the
but
lot.
only a 17-day
of supply. Yes.
market supply of those. And so they are selling about as many of those as they can make. And again, it's a very inexpensive vehicle. I mean, it's one of the cheapest vehicles in the country that you can buy new, isn't it?
Period. Yes. And I love that the hatchback, the 5-door is there.
Yeah.
Because it's very, I used to have a little Golf, Ford MK4. VW Golf, and I can appreciate a smaller car with a hatchback, and I think more power to them, even with the sedan and the hatch. So those might be hard to find. Another vehicle hard to find is going to be the Subaru Impreza.
Yeah, and this is probably one of the cheapest ways that you can get into having something that's all-wheel drive.
Yes.
So kind of, again, going on to that theme of inexpensive vehicles, this is just like a small little hatchback or sedan. Or do they even make them in the hatchback anymore? I think they
Yeah,
just...
yeah.
Yeah, so hatchback or sedan that you can get with all-wheel drive. I know out here in Colorado, they are super popular. They are everywhere.
Yeah, 15 days of market supply, and about 1,400 of them are waiting, and they have new models coming online as well. So it's kind of a hot one.
Yeah. Now, here's one that does actually surprise me quite a bit. Only a 14-day supply of the BMW X5?
Yeah, so that surprises me too. The X5 I know has been refreshed recently, right? But it's still quite expensive and very, very, luxurious vehicle.
Yeah, and BMW right now doesn't have the greatest reputation as far as reliability goes, so it kind of bucks the trend of this list. Maybe this one is more of a supply side issue.
Sure, but also
maybe chip
desirability at
shortage.
some way.
That's true. Yeah, I mean,
mean,
it is a really good looking SUV, that's for sure. So
I think if you want to flaunt your success when you kind of arrived and you've made it,
Sure.
at least in my mind, I think the X5, it's an SUV. You can get a really powerful M versions of it, right?
That's true.
So I think it has kind of that panache as well. So that's quite interesting. And then the top three. Well, okay, we have more Kia here.
yeah, so going to the next one, number 3 is the Kia Carnival. That's how you say it, right? Or is it Carnival?
It depends
Carnival?
if you're from Brazil. Yes.
The Carnivale.
Yeah.
Currently only has a 13-day supply. There's only 900 of these roughly sitting on dealer lots right now. And when I was looking this up, this is actually the cheapest new SUV that you can buy because the MSRP starts at only $33,000.
You mean the minivan?
I'm sorry. Yes, I misspoke.
They don't want-
the cheapest new minivan that you can buy on the market right
By
now.
the way, the word minivan is kind of not popular
Yeah.
these days, so I think Kia is okay with that. But so it's a great. I'm gonna call it a minivan. It's got
Sure.
sliding doors.
Yeah.
But I think it's actually Nathan's fault
Oh, really?
how popular this is, because he did this video recently, or almost a year and a half ago with the
Sure.
Carnival. It was a very popular video, and I'm gonna blame Nathan on this.
Okay. Well, I mean, I will say most minivans are very blobby looking. The Carnival, actually, I think it's a really good looking minivan to have.
It does have kind of the boxy look that people like.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool.
I dig it. So moving on to the top 2, we have another Kia Celtos, which is, I don't know, would you call this an SUV? It's kind of
Ish.
like, It's kind of like would you call the Kia Soul an SUV,
It's
right?
SUV adjacent.
Yeah.
Or crossover adjacent. How about that?
There you go.
So it's kind of, once again, a hatchback that's a little bit tall. They just redesigned it. So maybe there's a supply thing because of redesign or something like this, but there's not many of them. If you want them, there's only 9 days.
Yeah, only 9 days worth of these Kia
Yeah,
Celtos.
so that's not a lot.
So they are selling these things as fast as they can possibly make them. And then rounding out the list of some of the lowest market day supplies is the Lexus NX. And yes, this is a luxury SUV, but keep in mind this starts at only right over $40,000. So if you really want an SUV that kind of shows off a little bit and makes people think you've got a little bit of money, this is a really inexpensive way to get into the luxury SUV segment. And I think that's part of why it's so popular, plus the fact that it's a Lexus/Toyota product, so they're pretty reliable, or at least have the panache as a reliable.
And recently, once again, redesigned, so it's got to have the fresh style, right? In 2022, once again, Nathan did a review of this, so I'm going to blame him again.
Yeah,
So
here you go, manufacturers. If you want your car to sell as many as you can make, you need to get Nathan to review it.
But look at this.
Yeah.
Yes, so he's right there. So there you have it. So the best or the quickest selling and the slowest selling, and it has to do with how much money you're willing to spend.
Well, yeah, I mean it's basically it's price. It comes to market supply of parts and how recent it's been redesigned.
Yeah.
So
there you have it. Thanks for joining us. I know this video is a little bit longish, but hopefully you have really good information now. You're armed with it when you go
Absolutely.
shopping.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Thanks.